Hi, Big V, Verl Workman here, and today we're talking teams. Specifically, we're talking about who and when to hire to build a successful team. People get confused all the time and think that hiring is the most important thing. But it's actually the preparation and the work that goes in before you make the first hire that makes the biggest impact. So I'm going to share with you who and when to hire, some of the activities we go through, and actually the interview questions that will help you identify the right people for the right job on your team. I've always said that if you don't have an assistant, you are one. So how many of you fit into that category right now? How many of you don't currently have an assistant? Right? Go ahead and write it in the list. I don't have one, I don't have one, I don't have one, or I do have one, or I've thought about it, or I had one, it didn't work. Let's write it in the chat below, and let's just see who's listening and who's watching the video. Because if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And I can't take you to that place in your business or in your life where you're making high six figures or seven figures or even high seven figures if you spend your day doing any of the activities you could outsource at a lower rate. And it's not that they have lower value, it's that you are a specialist at doing certain things: prospecting, listing, selling houses, and negotiating contracts. Everything else, you need to hire a specialist who is better at doing those things than you. And if you don't think anybody can do it better than you, well, you need to get over yourself because you're not that great. Now, I think you're great, and your spouse probably thinks you're great, but just recognize that there's a lot of amazing people out there with amazing gifts and amazing skills that can do those tasks and those jobs if they're developed and you hire the right person for the right reason. So when I'm thinking about when building a team and you want to build a high producing team that allows you to maybe earn seven figures, the first and most critical hire is your empowered champion, your personal assistant and your business assistant, the person who makes your life easier. So when you hire your assistant, their job is to find out what they can do to take things off of your plate and make sure they get done. Whether it's meeting with clients, scheduling birthday calls, making sure that all of the things happen in relationship to before, during, and after a transaction, keeping your database up to speed, making sure your social media is happening the way it should be, making sure you're converting all the leads, and sometimes it means making sure you have something to eat. A great assistant's focused on making sure you stay focused, doing the right things during your day. And if you do that and you empower them and you give them the authority to be great in their role, you'll thrive in yours. What are the characteristics that we look for in hiring great people? One of my favorite authors is Patrick Lencioni. He wrote The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. His follow-up book to The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is titled The Ideal Team Player. And in The Ideal Team Player, he talks about the 3 characteristics or the 3 critical things you should look for when hiring anybody for your team. Are you ready for the 3 things? The first one is, are they hungry? What does hungry mean? It means I gotta eat. That means I'm willing to do hard things because I need to earn the income. It means that I need to feel value in my life. I'm hungry for success. The second thing is they're humble. And what humble means is they're teachable. They don't think they know it all. They're open to learning. Hungry is good. Humble is great. And the last one is smart. You can't identify for smart. Smart means that they have the common sense or the life experience or the education that puts them in a more likelihood position to be able to succeed in their role. So we interview and we test for hungry, humble, and smart. So what are the questions that you ask? Now, I'm going to give you some questions we use in interviewing people that are different from some of the questions you may have never heard. But with each question, I'm going to give you the question and what we learn by the answer. And so I'm going to share with you some of those questions. Are you ready? Here's the first one. What is something that you used to believe that you no longer believe? I want you to think about that question, how you would answer that. What is something you used to believe that you no longer believe? It's interesting because with the response to this question, it challenges their ability to deal with change. Are they open-minded? Will they answer seriously? If they say Santa Claus, they're probably not very serious. So what is something you used to believe? I've heard things like that my family doesn't always have my back. That was kind of shocking. I've heard other ones about their religious beliefs or about UFOs. I've heard things that they used to believe about business that they no longer believe, about how, a contract isn't really a contract. There's interesting perceptions of people, and I want to hear what their answer is. Not because I judge them on the answer, I just want to know if they're thinking about it and if they'll give me an honest answer. The second question is, I want you to smile when I ask this to you. Ready? If you have 2 teleportation devices, where would you place them and why? Now, what this goes to is, this question is for critical thinking and not just knowledge. If someone says, well, I would go back 10 years to my younger self, they don't know the difference between a teleportation device and a time machine. And so a teleportation device gets you from one place to another, and you can have them anywhere in the universe. Where would you have them? It's fascinating when people take a moment and they think about it, and then they think about, okay, if I really could be anywhere and go back and forth between those two places anytime I wanted, where would they be? And I love the creativity and the fun that comes out of those answers. It allows me to see if they can critically think and what their creativity is. You ready for another one? How do you like these questions so far? Here's another one. Are you working on anything exciting outside of work? What do you think you can learn about someone by asking the question? Are you working on anything exciting outside of work? Here's what we learn. It's a question that gives you a good look into, are they a great culture fit? Is it specific or generic? Is it fascinating? Are they social? Do they have a life outside of work? Just by asking that question, you can gain so much insight on the individual. And I found that people have fascinating lives. I've got people that we've hired that are scuba divers, that do unbelievable service, that have unbelievable families, and they spend a lot of time focusing on that. I have people that love the outdoors or the indoors or their kids. There's so many great answers to that question, but it allows me to learn more about them. Are you working on anything that's exciting outside of work? Here's another question. This is the fourth one, and I love this one. Is there something during this interview that I should have asked you that I haven't? How many of you are listening to the video sitting there going, I don't want to be in that interview? Because what this does is it shows you that it gives them the opportunity to shine. If they have a skill set or something they've done in their business or their life that they want to make sure you know about, it gives them the opportunity to set themselves apart from everybody else. And just by asking the question, it shows that you're genuinely interested in knowing something special about them. The interview is so important, and asking the right questions are critical. Yes, there's questions about skill set and job performance and what your previous job said. You ask them those questions, but these questions are critical thinking questions that often changes the tone and the outcome of the interview. Here's the fifth one. Tell me about a time when something didn't go as planned and what happened next. Tell me about a time in your life when something didn't go as planned and what happened next. What do you think we gain by asking that question? You can go down the chat box, you can type in your answers. It'd be interesting to me to see what you think or what you would say to the answers to these questions. Tell me about a time when something didn't go as planned and what happened next. You see, what this gives you the ability to see is, can they think on their feet? Do they blame somebody else for something that didn't go right, or do they own it? And were they able to handle the situation, and did it work out in the end? How did they fix it? Like, all of these things come into play by asking one simple question. How many of you would like to take your interviewing to the next level? Would you like to hire A players that are hungry, humble, and smart? Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to give you a list of the 10 interview questions that aren't boring. Make sure you check with HR and they're compliant, that you can use them legally, and make sure that they're right. Hiring and recruiting is a skill set that is learned. It's not something that comes naturally. It's not just something that you should do at the time of the interview. Take the 10 questions, practice them with your friends, your family, your coworkers. Get used to asking them, see what kind of responses they get, and then ask yourself if I'm gaining the insight I want through these questions. I encourage you to download the interview questions, go out and hire your first assistant, and do it with intelligence. And I know that by having somebody hungry, humble, and smart on your team, it'll open up the opportunities for you to grow and to develop that team at the next level.